Hi, everyone. I'm excited to kick off this webinar today. Before we dive in, I want to encourage you to invite any colleagues who haven't joined yet. The more people we have, the greater the visibility and impact of our discussion. So, let's maximize our time together by bringing in as many voices as possible. Thank you for being here, and let's get started.
Welcome, everybody. Thank you for joining this webinar. My name is Stéphane Jouteux. I am an elected member of the Local Works Council and a member of the European Works Council of Amadeus. I will be leading this webinar together with my colleagues, Anna, Matti, and Pierre-Yves. This webinar is public, it is recorded, and will be available afterwards for replay. Starting now, you have the opportunity to share your opinion anonymously, comment, and take our polls. If you click on Q&A or polls at the bottom of the screen, you will see a window on the left side showing up with a chat for sharing opinions, Q&A for asking questions, and a few polls. When you joined this webinar, you were asked for mandatory information such as name and email. We recall that you have the possibility to use a random name and email address to ensure anonymity. Today, you have the opportunity to protest publicly and anonymously against the removal of the 1,300 euros that management has decided to take off the employee's remuneration package. This removal is not immediately visible, as it will be overshadowed by a temporary measure taken by management this year to partially offset the IP box effect, so that this one-shot compensation will be paid as a supplementary profit sharing in place of the 1,300 euros we usually get. So please use the chat and speak out if you want to keep this benefit for the long term and explain why. The agenda today is threefold. So first, we will look at the results of our survey, followed by a short Q&A session. Second, we will look at the impact of the IP box on our profit sharing, again, followed by a few questions if we have time. And third, we will discuss the flexibility and return to office policy, followed again by a short Q&A session if we have time remaining. Thank you for joining. I will now hand over to Anna for the presentation of the results of our survey. Anna, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Let's go. So, hello, I'm Anna. I work in hospitality. I am an elected representative to the Local Work Council of Amadeus for the CGT Union. Concerning the survey we sent in February, we received more than 800 replies, and we thank you for that. To the question, did you benefit at some point from the transportation allowance proportional to the distance between your house and the office? 70% of respondents said yes. Less than 10% of all respondents considered that these 1,300 euros were temporary. This statement, first presented by management in January, is not supported by 90% of the respondents who consider that it was a long-lasting benefit and part of our global remuneration package. More than 400 employees vote for a mass virtual call. That is what we are doing today. Let's hear some of the feedbacks from the survey.
Let's look at the most common feedback we've received from everyone.
There are a lot, more than 460 responses.
Can you pick out the most common ones for us?
Sure. Many are saying it's just another withdrawal of benefits, and that in successful companies, benefits are increased, not removed.
I think they have a valid point, don't you?
Absolutely. A lot also mentioned being told during hiring that the entire package was sufficient based on the 1,300 euros, and they felt pressured not to ask for a higher salary.
That must be frustrating for them. Many feel like they were misled about their compensation.
Exactly. I also heard feedback from managers who feel overwhelmed. One mentioned she's tired of always being asked to do more while seeing her compensation decrease.
That sounds tough. It's important to recognize how these changes impact morale and trust within the company.
Definitely. Understanding this feedback is crucial for improving workplace satisfaction and retention.
Thank you for summarizing this feedback so clearly. It's vital we keep these conversations going.
You will find the 460 comments uploaded in our website, cgtamadeus.fr. Do not hesitate to go and have a look. It's very interesting and it's your voice. So social benefits of Amadeus employees. The transportation allowance is a historical benefit inherited from Air France when the company was set up more than 30 years ago. In recent years, management decided to progressively remove the transportation allowance and replace it to some extent, but not completely, by various mechanisms, 360 euros annually and partial integration in the salary. The most important part, though, was this 1,300 euros granted to every employee. This is a fixed amount, but it was a fixed amount regardless to the base salary of the employee. The transportation allowance has been removed, and now management removes silently these 1,300 euros. This is a huge loss for employees who intend to stay with company several years, while Amadeus is making record profits year after year. So what's next? Speak up, vote, and share your ideas now. This is being generated by an AI, but this can be done again. We have already in the past speaked up, we have demonstrated, we have been pushing to claim for better conditions. When all employees were in the main site, it was easy to organize marches. Now with two big sites and Bel Air isolated, it's more difficult. We experiment today anyway with this public webinar and call on you to take immediate action by speaking up your opinion in the chat, take the surveys and the poll section, and thus to challenge the online narrative of Amadeus management, who consider that the top employer label and the Engage survey results demonstrate that employees are indifferent to or even supportive of such changes in our social benefits. So now, Matti will continue to present the results of the survey. Over to you, Matti. Thank you.
Thank you, Anna. I am Matti Fall, elected member on CGT Union. I will presenting some crucial findings from our survey. Especially, I will be discussing the results related to the workload, the health, and burnout, and concluding finally with PDR review. Those topics are very are vital and impact our well-being at work and at home. I believe that with this, by understanding these results, we can work together to create a healthier and more supportive work environment. At the end of my presentation, we will have a Q&A session, as stated by Stefan at the beginning. We can exchange ideas and discuss this key subject in more detail. So let's get started with the results themselves. As you can see, we collected valuable insight about how our colleagues perceive their workload and extra hours they have been working. The results shows significant concern that need our immediate action. Firstly, when we ask about their workload, 42% of the respondents indicate that they find their workload is from way too high to too high. This is a substantial portion of our colleagues and underscores the need for us to address workload management to ensure a balanced and sustainable work environment for everyone. Now moving to the topic about the extra hour, we see that more than 50% of the respondents report that they are often work extra hour every week in the 6 past months. This is a significant number and indicate that a considerable portion of our colleagues is regularly putting in additional time, which can lead to burnout and negatively impact their well-being. This figure provides us a clear picture of the current state of our workload and extra hours being worked. It is crucial for us to take this insight into account and take immediate action to create a more balanced and supportive work environment for all employees. Now let's move to the impact on the health and burnout statement. As you can see here, yes, you have the result. As you can see, the results are quite concerning and highlight areas that need our immediate action. Firstly, 30% of respondents reported that their working condition and workload have impacted their health in the past month. This is a significant number and indicate that the majority of our colleagues is experiencing negative health effects due to their work environment. Additionally, 28% have experienced or were close to a burnout in the past year. This is alarming and shows that a considerable portion of our colleagues is struggling with burnout, which can have serious consequences on their well-being and productivity. Furthermore, 60% believe that the company does not properly prevent overload and burnout. This fact is crucial and highlights the need for us to implement better measures to prevent this issue and support our employees more efficiently. These figures provide us a clear picture on the current state of health and burnout among our colleagues, and it is essential to take these insights into account and take immediate action to create healthier and more supportive work environment for everyone. As current action in plan, apart from some informative sessions, only the medical health check tries to detect stress, but one appointment every 5 years is not enough to detect issues. So let's see a video for some employee feedback.
So, what are the results of the survey on employee health?
They're actually quite interesting. We've never had so much feedback on this topic before.
What did you find out?
Many employees reported issues like difficulty sleeping, anxiety, stress, and back pain. For example, one colleague mentioned feeling tired all weekend and stressed before returning to work after a break.
Are there any reports of burnout?
Yes, among over 800 responses, 30% believe their working conditions are affecting their health, and 28% have experienced burnout or were close to it. Those numbers are significant.
How is management addressing these issues?
Well, 60% of respondents feel that the company isn't taking adequate steps to prevent overload and burnout. For instance, if someone has sleeping issues, the company offers a session on how to sleep better. But is that really addressing the problem?
Probably not. It seems like a surface-level solution.
Exactly. Management seems hesitant to reevaluate their processes, fearing it might challenge their decisions. Employees see it differently, though. One mentioned that the safe organization sometimes creates conflicting expectations between teams and management, leading to high pressure.
The responsibility is shifting to Scrum teams, but there can be sometimes a disconnect with product management.
Right. This disconnect can cause significant stress as teams struggle to meet expectations that don't align with their reality.
Now let's have a check on our PDR, PDR rating feedback. As you can see, 24 of the respondents indicate that their PGR rating are not in line with their expectations. This is a substantial portion of our colleagues and underscore the need for us to address the alignment of PDR rating with employee expectation to ensure fairness and transparency in our performance evaluation process. Among of those who felt their PGR rating were not aligned, 77% expected to be exceeding expectation, while 15% expecting to be within expectation. This indicates a clear discrepancy between the rating employees received and what they anticipate, which can lead to dissatisfaction and demotivation. This figure provides us a clear picture of the current state of our PDR rating and the need for improvement. It is crucial for us to take these insights into account and take immediate actions for a more transparent and fair performance evaluation process for all our employees. Now let's have a check about the management view on this new PDR review process. In 2024, the development need insatisfactory was measured as 1%. Now the management considers that 1% is not enough and the target is to reach 5%. That is quite huge. So coming back to the survey itself, 64% of the managers reported they have been asked by their management or HR to assign more development need rating compared to the previous year. This is a substantial portion and underscore the need to address the pressure on the manager to give lower rating, which can impact employee and performance. Additionally, among these managers who received those instructions, 68% do not feel comfortable with this additional rating. This indicates that while the majority of the managers are adapting to this new rating system, there is still a significant portion that is struggling with this change. So again, it is crucial to take this insight into account and to take immediate action to support our manager, our colleague manager, and ensure a fair and transparent performance evaluation for all our colleagues. So I am at the end of this presentation. I will let the mic for the Q&A session and for exchanges. So
Thank you, Mati. Florent, have you identified a few questions related to this presentation? I saw a few questions concerning return to office policy. We will deal with this at the end of this session.
There is a lot of questions, but from the survey, not a lot. I already answered a lot. I guess we can continue and we will address the question after.
Okay, so let's move on to the next topic on the IP box. If we can, we will answer the questions in the Q&A session at the end. Thank you. Pierre-Yves, the floor is yours.
Hello everyone, thank you Anna, Mati and Stéphane for these important insights. I am Pierre-Yves Allemand, also elected at the CEC for the CGT Union, and I will be talking about our profit sharing and the impact that the IP box has on it. Indeed, in our last survey, we realized that about 65% of you were not clear on that topic and were looking for more information. So this is what we are going to do now. Starting with the spirit of the profit sharing. So the profit sharing was introduced in France in 1967 to motivate the employees to the success of their companies. The profit sharing makes it mandatory for companies to distribute a certain share of their profits to their employees, on top of the salaries, the premiums, and the bonuses. By definition, the profit sharing relies on the profit. So the bigger the profit, the bigger the profit sharing. It is not to be confused with the company bonus that we are also receiving in Amadeus. The company bonus is associated not to the profitability of the company, but to its objectives. And these objectives are most often related to growth, not to stability. This thus making the profit sharing by design usually more stable than the company bonus. As for the legal formula, it comes as follows. The share of the profit that are distributed to the employees as profit sharing is half of the share of salaries in the added value of the company. This is the legal formula. Just this little element here, the minus 5% of capital that I will be neglecting. It's a small modifier that doesn't help to understand and that is not significant in our matter. So please rather remember this simplified formula that I will be using later. We are now going to cover a simplified accountability for companies to see how each of these elements are deducted from the activities and how the profit sharing is computed. So a company is typically selling goods and services, and the total of their sales, the total of its incomes constitute the revenues. From the revenue, we can deduce the added value by deducting the intermediate expenses, also called external expenses. Usually companies are buying raw material and are manufacturing or building a more sophisticated product on it that they are later selling. The added value is a difference of price between the components and the complete sophisticated product. Of course, for Amadeus, it's a bit different because the external expenses that we have is typically computational power, now in the cloud, electricity, and also a big part of it is services that we buy from other companies as contractors. Despite contractors occupying positions in Amadeus and contributing to the production, they are counted as external expenses because their services are purchased externally. The added value is a very important economical indicator. It is the economical value created by the labor within the company. The GDP, for example, is defined as a sum of added values produced in an economy. The profit sharing formula considers the added value as well. So it's really an important indicator. It measures the economical value that the society as a whole gets from its production. Economists are interested in the added value, governments as well, but companies not so much. And we are going to see why. So if we zoom in this added value, we can see that it gets shared between employees and employer. The part that comes to the employees is itself constituted of three parts: the salaries, the social contribution for health and retirement and this kind of thing, and the premiums and bonuses, so the company bonus, individual bonus, on-call premiums, this kind of thing. This is the share that goes to the employees, and what remains is the share that goes to the employer. This is the American EBITDA that Amadeus is massively communicating about. Companies tend to focus on the EBITDA rather than the added value because, from a shareholder perspective, the employee's share is a cost, just like the external expenses. So in the company's contability, the employee share of the added value and the external expenses are all grouped as a cost. This is why the added value can explicitly appear in this document. Because companies' contability is built to inform the shareholder of their profitability and not to inform societies on their achievements. The EBITDA, it is itself composed of two main parts, so the EBIT and the depreciation. The depreciation is the value of the tool, so typically the computer that we are using, that is reported on several years. It's tools that are not considered intermediate expenses. They are not consumed in the production, but they are used and they lose value over the year. So this is the depreciation. And it will become important shortly after. That's why I'm covering it. Focusing on the EBIT, so what is not yet allocated to anything else. So the EBIT will be subject to taxation. In France, the corporate taxation used to be 50% in 1967 when the profit sharing was first introduced. 10 years ago, it was still 33%, and nowadays it is 25%. The proportion of our illustration, of course, 25% should be a bit higher, but you get the idea. The EBIT is taxed, and what remains is the net profit. And this net profit is the input to compute our profit sharing. If you remember the formula that I was explaining earlier, we take the share of salaries in the added value, like so, and we take half of it, we cut it in half, and we report this proportion in the net profit. So we draw that line, and this proportion in the net profit gives our profit sharing. This is the big picture that you need to keep in mind to understand how the profit sharing is computed. So now that we understood how the profit sharing is obtained, we need to make a little detour to understand a specific mechanism that we have in Amadeus. In the year 2000 and 2010s, Amadeus Group was making heavy investments, especially in Bangalore, to open the office and develop it. As the French entity of Amadeus is a key component of the group, the investments of the group are also visible in the French entity contability as depreciation. Because these investments were massive, also was the associated depreciation, and it was impacting our profit sharing. We were seeing this kind of pattern where the EBITDA of the company is rising, but our profit sharing is decreasing. When we see such patterns, it means there is something to investigate, and we are seeing such pattern nowadays as well. Back in the time, the thing that was to investigate was the depreciation. The increase of depreciation due to the foreign investment of Amadeus decreased the EBIT. And as it decreased the EBIT, it decreased everything after. It decreased the net profit, and so it decreased our profit sharing. At that time, the mobilization of the employees allowed to secure a minimum for our profit sharing of 5.5% of our salary. This is our shield. When the legal profit sharing falls below 5.5% of our salaries, then the shield mechanism is complementing the difference. Yet it's complementing it as intéressement, because the profit sharing is a law formula, so it cannot be modified directly. This is why the complement, and only the complement, is paid through intéressement, which is the same vehicle that is used to pay our company bonus. So this is why there is a small link between the profit sharing and the company bonus. If the profit sharing is below a certain threshold, then an additional company bonus will be paid to reach the level of that threshold. And this has become very useful in the past few years. So this is why we are taking some time to explain it in detail. Okay, so now we know what the profit sharing is, we know our protection mechanism, we still don't know about the IP box. So let's cover that. The IP box was introduced in 2016 by the French government to encourage companies to innovate and to invest in R&D. It took the form of a reduced taxation for incomes that were related to their patents, so to the intellectual properties of company protected by patents. And this reduced taxation was 15% instead of the usual 33% at that time. And Amadeus started benefiting from it starting in 2016. But what we are mostly interested in is what happened in 2019 when the IP box scope was extended to softwares as well. So it remains the intellectual property, but not only protected by patents, but also the software sales that are exploiting the intellectual property of the company. And Amadeus being Amadeus, and being a software company, it means that Amadeus could benefit much more from the IP box starting 2019. In the same move as the corporate taxation was being reduced from 33% to 25%, the reduced taxation of the IP box was also being reduced from 15% to 10%. So now we know what the IP box is. We still don't know why it impacts our profit sharing. And this is what we are going to cover now. So it is impacting our profit sharing because the EBIT will be split in two. One part to be taxed normally with the 25% corporate tax, and another part to be taxed at a reduced rate of 10%, the rate of the IP box. And the problem that the law is badly engineered, that the cables are badly wired, that the output of the IP box does not match the input of the profit sharing formula. What comes out of the IP box is just not called net profit. It is not called at all, actually. It doesn't have a name. This brown part here is lost to us. It's not being reintroduced in the net profit to compute the profit sharing. This is where our losses go. It's as simple as that. And Amadeus being selling mostly softwares, depending on the year, it is able to put anywhere between 60 to 80% of its EBIT in the IP box. For example, if 60% of the EBIT goes in the box, then 60% of our profit sharing is lost and won't get paid. This is how we are not getting the profit sharing that the company should be able to generate. It is also important to notice that Amadeus is benefiting twice from the IP box this way. Once, primarily, firstly, in the designed way, by being taxed 10% instead of 25% in the box, and secondly, in the less designed way, by the impact it has on our profit sharing. In terms of proportion, for the year 2023, Amadeus saved about 35 million euros of taxation this way, and about 20 million euros in profit sharing. This is the picture you need to keep in mind to understand the IP box. In terms of figures, so this is the evolution of our profit sharing since 2015. We can see from 2015 to 2018 that the profit sharing is roughly following the fiscal revenue of the company, which is expected. And we can see that starting 2016, Amadeus is benefiting from the IP box on the patents with a limited impact, but still noticeable. Now, what is really important to see is what happens between 2018 and 2019, the dramatic drop of legal profit sharing going from 9% to 1%. On that year, Amadeus recognized that this wasn't fair, and they agreed to compensate our losses and to maintain a level of profit sharing that was close to what we had the year before in 2018. Then came 2020, where with the COVID situation, there was no profits and no company bonus. 2021 is a bit special because we got a company bonus. We got a company bonus because the objectives of the company that year were related to cost cutting and not to growth, and these objectives were reached. So we got a company bonus. And because we had that company bonus, then our shield could activate, and we could benefit from the protection of the profit sharing and get the 5% of our salaries through this mean, despite the company not being yet profitable. In 2022, the company became profitable again, but decided to not reconduct the compensation that it made in 2019. So our shield, our minimum of profit sharing, played strongly at that moment. The legal profit sharing was very low, and our shield allowed to compensate significantly, although there was still a significant amount of money missing. In 2023, the situation is even worse because the company became largely profitable at a higher level than 2019 and still refused to compensate the loss of profit sharing due to the IP box. That year, our shield didn't play that much because the profit sharing was about 5%, but our loss was significant, about 7% of the total salaries. These are the 20 million euros I was mentioning in the previous slide. We can notice that between 2023 and 2024, the revenue increased while the legal profit sharing is decreasing. This is because the share of the EBIT that can be put in the IP box is not stable and varies over the year. Anyway, the legal profit sharing is still below our minimum of 5%, so we don't feel this difference yet. It's important to notice. In 2024, so to be paid in 2025 this year, the company is acknowledging again that the mechanism is unfair to us and is compensating partly our loss of profit sharing. It's compensating in such a way that we are getting the profit sharing that is roughly what we had in 2019, although the results of the company are much higher than 2019. So the spirit of the profit sharing is still not respected. As you know, Amadeus is also using this partial compensation to remove the 1,300 euros of transportation allowance that we were getting since 5 years. So this punctual compensation is being balanced by the company by the withdrawal of a long-lasting benefit that we were getting every year. And this, of course, is a problem and the reason why we are here today. I have the same kind of figures, but this time expressed in terms of money. I corrected all the bars with the inflation so that we, with the reference of 2024, so that we can compare things that are comparable. And we can see that last year, the year where we lost the most, we lost about 4,500 euros per person on average. We don't have crystal ball, so we cannot know what the result of the company will be in the future. But if the results are maintained, and if the compensation is not increased, or worse, not reconducted, then we can expect that we will be missing about 5,000 euros every year in profit sharing only due to the IP box effect. What we are doing on that. So first, it's important to notice that many actors in the sector kind of agree that the law was badly engineered, that the cables were badly wired. I am especially talking about Numeum, the employers' union of digital companies in France, that published the guidelines in 2024, encouraging its members, including Amadeus, to compensate the loss of profit sharing due to the IP box. Also, the economy minister in 2024 was interrogated in the parliament and acknowledged that the law was badly made and should be corrected at the earliest convenience. And as we remember, Amadeus in 2019 also recognized that it wasn't fair and did compensate our loss. We are maintaining our pressure on the parliament and on the government. We have been writing to them every year. So far, we have contacted the Minister of Economy as well as 3 representatives in the Finance Commission of the Parliament, including the President and the reporter of this commission. Everyone agrees that there is a problem here, but so far no opportunity could be found to correct the law as the Parliament has other priorities right now. Here are the evidences. So this is the guideline, the screenshot of the guideline that Numeum published in 2024, where it clearly states that companies should compensate the IP box impacts on the employees' profit sharing. It is highlighted here and here again. And here is the answer we got from the Minister of Economy, which is also acknowledging the problem and asking his teams to make a status on the situation. So this is where we are now. It is important to highlight that Amadeus is compliant with its legal obligation. The profit sharing is a formula by law, and Amadeus is respecting it. But it is in the company power to compensate what is unfair, as Amadeus did in 2019. In France, companies are able to go beyond the law and to compensate. So we are expecting the company to keep doing so and to do it even better and to fully compensate our loss. We still have to update the complete and long-lasting compensation of the IP box on our profit sharing so that we are not penalized for working in a software IT company. We are working in a very successful company that is generating a lot of profit and that should be able to generate the associated profit sharing. But because it's a software company, it is benefiting from the IP box and we are penalized. This is what we are fighting against. Thank you for listening. I hope this presentation has clarified the situation and that you are now properly informed on the matter. If you have time, maybe we can take a few questions.
Thank you very much, Pierre-Yves, for this presentation. Florent, do you have any question on this topic?
I have a lot of questions about the DN and the notation and the management pushing for more DN notation from the PDR. So maybe Steph, if you have a few words to say what the direction told us about DN, what it is meant, and what they want to put in place. Interesting.
Okay, as Matti mentioned earlier, what happened this year is that management wants to enforce a new rule. As Matti said, in the previous years, including last year, we have roughly 1% of the employees being rated UN or development need. And management clearly stated this year that the objective is to increase that number to 5%. while it is not absolutely mandatory, at least in the message they sent to the managers, they say it's a guideline, but still many managers have understood, have been also pressured in some times, and to put more DN and UN. And it was a shock for many employees this year because there are no information, no discussion during 2024 about their performance, and they just discovered, following the mail sent by management, that suddenly they were not meeting the objectives. It has been clearly stated also this year by management that, at least by the top management, that managers should be more focused in 2025 to give some warnings to the employees because, as I just mentioned, they clearly want to increase that number. What we would like to stress is that having a DN is not something without consequences. For the past 20 years, we have seen many people with DNs 2 years in a row being on the line for a dismissal. So this is a serious topic, and it can be addressed through discussion with your managers. But in case you have or you encounter such difficulties, you can contact your union members, your elected representatives. We often discuss with the people in such occasions so that we can advise you on the different steps to take.
So we have another question that is coming multiple times, is for people who are full remote, what is the direction thinking for them, especially for the people who have signed their full remote after the COVID. It seems that the message from the direction was not clear enough, and so Stéphane, if you could tell them what to tell those people what the direction said at the last CSA.
Okay, so let me take that particular topic now about the return to office policy. I will give you the information we have about that. So what happened is, I will give you the outcome of the last Works Council meeting with management that was held on March 28 about the return to office policy. First of all, today, the badges and the IP address are collected for security purpose only. They cannot be used to geolocalize employees, at least at that stage. However, management confirmed that they intend to geolocalize every employee by all legal means in the foreseeable future. Our union has asked the CNIL for advice and compliance. The CNIL is the French administration dealing with data privacy. We are waiting their answer on this topic. Management added also a new condition to maintain full remote workers in their current setup when full remote work has been granted in accordance with our collective agreement on teleworking. So this is a new condition that has been added locally in Nice, and that was not in the email sent by Anna Doval. However, we should mention that it has been also clearly stated by our local management that this setup could be reviewed in the occasion of an employee in full remote moving from one team to another. This is not the only condition, but they made it clear that the full setup could be reviewed anytime, although it is clear also that they did not decide to impose on all full remote workers to come back to the office, and for the moment they can keep their current setup. We had a discussion with management last Friday about during the local works council about what most hinders collaboration, team cohesion, and innovation, because telework was pointed by management in Nice as the main reason why there might be some difficulties in collaboration and team cohesion and so on. So there was a discussion within the local works council, including the topics of cross-site teams with people working from Nice, Bangalore, Bogota, Manila, or other places, the workload, the work environment, such as open spaces, the work organization and methodologies, the lack of work and effort recognition, and also other reasons. And we are very interested to know your feedback on this particular topic. We have set up a poll with such questions in the poll sections. So if you could look at that and provide your opinion, it would be very important to challenge the opinion of management on this topic, for who the telework is the main concern. If you have, of course, any further question on this topic, you can contact your elected members to the Local Works Council. You can find the details on our website, but still, you can write to us as well and contact your elected members. Please take the time to take the polls that we have included in this webinar. And Florent, maybe if you looked at the questions, you can ask further ones before we close this session.
Yeah, so we have one about if you are taking some days off during the week, what will be the do you still have to come to, for example, the 2 days where you are not in holidays? We have questions.
Okay, so this one we had the discussion as well with management on this one. The reply they gave us was that, for instance, if you take some vacation or there is some day off or bank holiday, it is proportional to the working time, basically. So if there is only 2 days in the week, you have to come only 50%, so 1 day.
Some people are asking how they can, let's say, express to the management their frustration about different things, about the 1,300 euro, about SEF, for example, on the PDR, that is not, let's say, right. So, Stéphane, do you have any advice on how to address what are the different things people can do without
okay look, this is not an easy question.
Yes.
What you should know is that the company, at least at the top management level, always use 2 metrics to justify that Amadeus employees are happy, including sometimes supportive of the current changes that management has decided. These 2 metrics are the following. The first one is the Engage survey. So they systematically use that to show that basically employees are all happy with the current situation, and that therefore there is no need to make more efforts or listen more carefully to the claims that have been reported to them. Second is the top employer label, and they often use that as well. So I would say it's always good when employees share with their management their concerns. It is even better when you share your concerns, for instance, during our surveys. We have in the past month made quite a lot of surveys. They are anonymous, and your feedbacks were very, very important. The fact that, for instance, 800 people took our survey, the last one, is very significant. We had, by the past, the occasion of making another survey concerning the negotiation on the work from home policy. And it showed that all the negotiation was about employees' expectations. So all the feedback you gave to us were instrumental during the negotiation. This was very important. And also when you discussed with the employee representatives, with the union, you have a way to convey your message through the local management and also through the top management, because we have representatives within the Local Works Council and also with the European Works Council. And at that moment, we take all occasions we can to put forward the remarks, the examples, the claims that come from the Amadeus people. So I have no recipe to solve these issues, but you can use all these channels to try to get things right. And we are not giving up on any of the claim that we have, especially we claim that the 1,300 euros be maintained in the company for all the employees, and we will not get back on this. We are taking all actions possible to get the IP box compensated for the employees, because this is an absolute huge loss for the employees, especially the ones who expect to stay in the company for 5, 10, or 15 years. I mean, the amounts are absolutely tremendous. It can go up to 80,000 euros or so. So we are taking the appropriate steps towards the government, toward the Financial Commission of the National Assembly. We are also taking this appropriate step and raising this question in all meetings we can within the local management and within also the European Works Council and the discussions with the top management.
So we have a question about where is going the money that is reduced from the participation, from the intéressement, and from the taxes. How Amadeus is using it?
Okay, Pierre-Yves, do you want to take that question?
I think I answered it in the chat. One example, it goes in the free cash flow of the company, yeah. So they do whatever they like with it, and in the examples of whatever they like with it. For example, last year the company made is ongoing, making a record of a groundbreaking share buyback program of 1.3 billion euros. So this is among the examples of what Amadeus is doing with the money they are saving. It's basically paying shareholders and also buying back and the rest of what they like, the investment. Just before we move, I just wanted to cover a small topic, which is the screen here, this one. Are you able to see my screen? Yes, I guess. Bon, I'll continue anyway.
Yes.
Yes, good. It was just about the recent communication from the management about the profit sharing. So they have been communicating 9% with a little asterisk that you need to go down. This 9% is what was represented here. It's the 3.5% of the legal formula, plus the 2.5% that our usual shield is providing, plus the 3.5% that is their exceptional compensation. But it's important to notice that it's only the 3.5% that will be paid as profit sharing. The rest will be paid as intéressement, as a complementary profit sharing, which will be in the vehicle of the company bonus, as I was explaining at the beginning of the slides. But bon, voilà, as they made their communication just before our webinar, I thought it was important to wire the numbers with the figures so that voilà, you are clear on what they correspond to. And that's just the small updates I wanted to make.
Thank you, Pierre. Okay, I think we come to the end of this webinar. I would like to thank everybody. I would like also to mention that you have the opportunity to join the union and to help all the teams working on all these topics and to share your views. And I would like to thank everybody for your attendance today. Thank you very much.
Thank you all. Thank you for your attendance.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for all of you.